Good evening and welcome all of you to the third episode of TTS. All right, so before the speaker comes in, let's start a small topic discussion that we had today. Mr. Chandrasekhar suggested that why don't we discuss on elements of blended learning? Chandrasekhar, are you there?
Yeah, of course, I'm very much here.
Okay, can you show your face, please?
I'm a little shy about the lens being cracking.
Right.
Okay, there you are. I was talking about, I was interested in this new technical term, what currently they're using as a blended style of classroom teaching. I would like to focus a lot more on preschool and then primary schools. See, most of us as classroom teachers, especially who have worked in the lower classes, would definitely have adopted, may not be in total, but then at some stages, they would have used their creativity to ensure that children have learned some particular topic or some particular concept. And they would have used all kinds of techniques. As long as it works for them, it is fine. And they also would have found out that what works for some group of children may not work for others. So they would become a little more creative and then bring in other aspects of classroom, interactions. In fact, I would prefer to use the word interaction to classroom teaching, because teaching seems to be a little specific in meaning, whereas interaction, we can learn with interaction so many things. Sometimes we don't even plan for learning, but we learn out of it.
What has been your experience? Some of the teachers who are teaching there, switching from offline to online, was it easy for you to adjust, adapt yourselves? Of course, children also, are part of this where we need to check with them too. How are they finding it? So you as a teacher perhaps have some kind of experience, switching from offline to online mode. So what is that? How has that been? Varsha, would you like to add?
There are certain limitations if it is in the classroom.
Right.
I'm very interested in technology. Of course, we cannot do away with our traditional classroom, but here, being online on virtual platform, even we can take them to a world tour and we can just explore the world, I felt. So for a change, yes, all of us enjoyed online platform. I felt again, though it is again a physical classroom, even children and teachers would miss this online platform also. So I feel even in future, at least weekly, one day we should have the online class.
All right. Okay.
In fact, that's going to be the case. They cannot remove the online sessions, but then they will take a different form. In fact, in the very first session of this particular program, at least I learned from Singh Saab, so many technical developments and all that. That's also kind of what I would call as motivation for youngsters like me, to kind of add on to the additional technology and all that. And then me being absolutely illiterate in technology, it is a tremendous challenge. But then at the end of the day, it is worth it.
We are talking about blended approach. I must say that I hated technology to be part of education. I was the last person and still I didn't want to add technology to education.
Welcome, and all about today's talk and to understand about this series, which is series number 3. So I'm here to talk about National Policy of Education, and I call it a game changer. All right, the word might sound a little cliched, but that's, yes, I call it a game changer for the simple reason. It is not for the first time that there's a policy of education which has been rolled out. I think there have been a lot of policies of education, and when the Prime Minister stands up just a couple of days before and he says that, it's been 1 year when this, people were wondering, he changed the education minister also, there could be other reasons, but I firmly believe that because the NMP implementation, the way it was decided and planned, COVID, of course it is there, but it didn't start and roll in that way. Now, there is so much to happen along with NEP. One thing to begin with, to let us understand and come on a common platform. I understand the August gathering over here. They're very learned people. I'm nobody to teach or educate something. I'm here to learn. But still, I think whatever I feel, I've read, I've understood. So I'm going to share my feelings, and I'm absolutely open. And I'll accept if somebody says, no, it is not this way. So I'm absolutely ready to learn and take the no's also today. So that's perfectly fine. Okay. So now one thing which I've understood with NEP, that there are two important stakeholders which NEP has taken care of. Number one is teacher as a pivot point. I'm going to share how teacher is at the pivot point. How does NEP talk about that? The teacher is going to be there. How does it? And number two, completely, there is a lot of, if I use the word love, well, it will be a very smaller word. There's complete understanding of what a child would be needing right from the early childhood education to higher education. So there is something very interesting. NEP allows so much of interdisciplinary movement to a child that, the child desire to learn something, and the change is not only happening at the school level. The competitive exams are being kept in mind. There'll be changes at the NTA level, that is the National Testing Agency level. There'll be changes in the JEE exam pattern. There'll be more subjects incorporated in the JEE exam. It wouldn't be only 3 PCM. So there'll be such wonderful things happening with children all across, with teachers all across, and they grow as a complete individual who will be able to contribute so much more. I remember when I was small, well, I would not share another story. I have so many stories related to me now with NEP. So I remember that I used to love music, and I was very fond of eating. So, but it was after my class 10th, I had to realize that I have to choose between music and sciences. And I prefer to go ahead with sciences and choose like physics, chemistry, physics, chemistry, and biology as my main subject, because I had to appear for the various exams. So now over here, let us understand. Let me take you to the draft, which we call the NEP, which we call now. Don't all of us believe that a good educational institution is one place where every student feels welcomed and cared of, right? Even in online. Right now, we are facing during the pandemic. Even NEP was rolled in between pandemic, but it was prepared much before that. But it speaks so much about high on technology, right? As if NEP knew that pandemic is going to come, as if, though it isn't, right? So now it talks about creating a wide range of learning experiences which are offered, and a conducive learning environment to all the students. And that is how it is going to happen. Let us start understanding from the NEP itself. So it says that every child, when the child is very small, for the first time when goes to the school or the education begins, every child has a right to like understand the and be able to foster the unique capabilities of that individual. So the recognizing, identifying, and fostering the unique capabilities of each student by the teacher, right, and as well as parents, to promote a holistic development in academic and non-academic areas. So, the NEP does not only emphasize about the academic areas, and NEP very clearly talks about both the areas. Okay, now it also says that up to class 3, it is very important to achieve foundational literacy and numeracy. Now, some of us, those who come from my age group, and maybe like Mr. Chandrasekhar is there, so I can see that, we come from a particular age group of school where I remember our parents used to make us mug up the tables. 2 1s are 2 in our own languages. In fact, I remember I'm from the North India. So I'm though I've studied in CBSE, but my parents used to do do ekam, do ni char. They used to make me learn a lot of tables, then table of half and table of 1/4 also. Because they felt that numeracy skill is something very important for a child. So it happened naturally. My grandmother used to do it so simply that I just acquired those things very. Another thing was literacy. So, basic literacy, basic things, they came to me much before the school. So this was something which was happening at homes. Now, what has happened is, over the years, though the country started progressing, but there were various reasons where people could not afford education. And the government infrastructures and government schools were labeled for people, those who were very poor. Even if the teachers were very highly paid over there, very well qualified teachers through a selection process, they started getting labeled for not for a person from, for a very poor person, somebody who cannot afford education. Send your child over there, not for studying, but for food, poshahar. Some of you, those who understand the government education, like Nupurji, like, you nod, so I get a courage when you nod. What I say is I get a little bit of courage that I'm making some sense. So in government schools across the country, there is a system where the children get food to eat. That is called poshahar, right? So children in government schools don't go to study, they go for poshahar. So if they eat poshahar, the attendance is marked. They study or they don't study, does not matter. So teachers are doing different things in the government schools. They give them bath, they give them the other things. Of course, now pandemic has happened, so they don't have to do even that. Right now, so what was here? The institutes which were so-called doling education, they started becoming expensive, right? And it became compulsory for a parent. Yeah, midday meals, absolutely right. We call them midday meals, absolutely right. Right. I was just missing on this word. Thank you so much. Right. So now what was happening, that the parents, they had no option but either to afford that expensive education for a child, to so-called make the child literate, because I have been actually very firmly, openly making some noise that, when the schools take entrance tests in class 1 or in class 3, they take entrance tests. And they say that, this child is eligible to take entry in my institution. How come that child, when moves to class 6, by the time the child is in class 6 or 7, they label the child as a failure? So what have they done? They took a right child inside after the test. So what have they done? They've destroyed the child. So, these so-called, and I have all my peer group, all my friends with such schools. So, if my friends are listening to me today, they're going to kill me, I'm very sure. I'm very sure, best of the schools, the school owners, some of them, I will not name the schools, they are very good friends and they're very good acquaintances. But if they hear me speaking like that, but they've been hearing me, I think they would have killed me by now. So they haven't killed me. I've survived. So I think they're not going to kill me. Oh, I'm very happy about it. So it's okay. It's my fear. It isn't. They are not going to. They're good people. And they know that it's not them. Their role was to open the school. It's like the teachers, those who are teaching inside. So, I'm trying to balance it out. Now, so it's very important for us. Now, NEP allows multilingualism. Wow, such a fantastic thing to happen. People have been raving, why multilingualism? They feel that multilingualism means that the regional language is being forced, Hindi is being forced, or any other language. Nothing is being forced. It's something like, when a child, people, those who are in Germany, their child speaks Germany, child taking birth in France speaks French, child taking birth anywhere else speaks the mother tongue, the native language. Our child, when takes birth in Chennai, has to speak the native language. When a child takes birth in Ernakulam, because I was talking about Ernakulam, has to speak the language. When a child takes birth in Himachal Pradesh, has to speak Dogri. When a child takes birth in any North Indian house, has to speak Hindi. Now, why do we make the dissemination of education so complicated for a child that the child stops understanding, and by the time the child is in class 5, the child starts believing, I don't understand education, I hate it, I'm forced to go into the educational institute. This is something which I would never like to do. That is why we are seeing in current days, when so many children were voicing themselves, no board exams, no board exams. So many children are voicing themselves, don't open the schools, because they don't love it. There is no love. Now, NEP is trying to bring that love for, number one, education, number two, research gradually. They say, NEP says, if somebody loves something, they are going to get into research also. You see, for how many researchers do we have in India? How many of us have actually gone into a research? We haven't. All right. So now NEP also talks about that there is no hard separation between arts and sciences. I just gave you that story of mine. right? Between curricular and extracurricular activities, because between vocational and academic streams. And why they are saying is, it is like etc. in order to eliminate the harmful hierarchies and people standing in silos. So if somebody takes a PCM in class 12, becomes an intelligent or a brilliant child, while somebody chooses humanities, it's like, oh, the child doesn't study, that is why his child has chosen humanities. It isn't like that. It isn't like that at all. I mean, in case we say that media is very strong, so people in social media, they all come from mass comm and humanities. I think very few of them would be pass outs from sciences, PCM. Does the brain decide, is decided, the gray matter is decided with the subject? It isn't. And we have seen people forcing a child who has secured 40-45% in class 10, forcing a child to take a PCM, because if you do not do a 12th with a PCM, what is my village going to say? So this is, now there is no hard separation. So NEP allows, I like maths, you take maths, but the rest of the subjects could be economics and political science. That is perfectly fine. So nobody says that I am from a science stream. So NEP is allowing that. Another thing which NEP is allowing is that suggests is that there is an emphasis on a lot of conceptual understanding than rote learning. One of my video, when Vardhamurthy ji says, one of my video I made was about design thinking. That was very unfortunate part that, what happens is people in education and academia, everybody on YouTube likes to listen something which is on lighter. Anything which is little heavy, they would not like to listen. So my video on design thinking had a lot of technicalities into it. I had put a lot of statistics and I had put a lot of things. So, it could barely bring around 1,000 or 1,100 views to itself. While when I make one of the video on NEP, I bring a little bit of lighter notes into it. That video of mine has, I think, around, I don't know, 6,000-7,000 views, maybe more. So people, educated people, academia also is looking for easy way out. We are not ready to actually have an in-depth study, understand statistics, speak statistics, talk about the right word. So that is a little difficult. Okay. Now, NEP also talks about something very interesting, and I think this is very important for me to like put it in limelight over here: ethics and human constitutional values like empathy, respect for others, cleanliness. Now, when we talk about Swachhata Abhiyan, it is nothing to do with a person. Swachhata was for our nation. We go to Singapore, we say, we can't even spit out over there. And the same person coming to India would immediately, without a spittoon, would spit out anywhere on the road. And then they'll say, oh, India is very dirty. So, NEP is gradually trying to teach this, that, spirit of service, respect for public property, having a scientific temperament. That does not mean taking science subjects, having a lot of responsibility, equality and justice. There are a lot of things which are going to happen over there, right? And when NEP talks about all these things, it also says about life skills, like, there are so many life skills. The UN has listed out 10 life skills, but NEP talks about communication, cooperation, teamwork, and resilience. NEP talks about these 4, NEP talks about equitable education. It doesn't say equal anywhere. It uses the vocabulary word equitable. That means everybody gets an equal opportunity. The outcome could be different. So all of us sitting with all 10, 11 members over here in the team, we have an equal opportunity. Suppose, I understand lesser, Vardhamurthy ji understand a little more, Nupur ji understands a little bit more, Chandrasekhar ji says, I have completely understood NEP, and then somebody says, hey, what's the talk about NEP? Please tell me once again, what is NEP? It's perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine. It's okay. So that is what it says is that, it's okay. That is equitable. You take your own time, competency-based education. Right. So that is competency-based education. Somebody takes a little more time to understand than the others. We don't label that person. And the CBA is coming in a big way. Just before NAP, it was introduced through NCRT. Just before it has been roped into NAP. We are very happy about it. It talks about extensive use of technology. One thing good, there are a lot of bad things which pandemic has done, lot of bad things. But I feel one thing good which pandemic has done is it would have taken at least a decade to train and educate all the teachers to understand what is live teaching on Zoom platforms like Zoom, Microsoft Teams, or any other platform. It took us only the struggle, the need actually took us only a couple of days to start disseminating on these platforms. So the entire training cost was saved. The entire training cost was saved. Right. So, and people had to learn it. They had no choice. I'm talking about people who had access to internet, who had access to devices. I'm not talking about people and children, those who do not have access to internet and devices. So I'm talking about those things. As a school principal, I've been serving as a K-12 school principal also for, I remember, some of the parents, they used to feel so bad that, they, as if they're doing a crime by sending their a child with hearing deficiency to a regular school with that hearing aid. However we may consume, but now they have that, now they'll have that confidence. Now, as I talk about our assessments and exams are what? Like, NAP talks assessments are very compulsory. So we teach something in the school, we teach something in the colleges, and we test the child to test that what you do not know. So the testing is for what you do not know. The testing is never for what we have taught and how good you know. Right. So now NAP talks about light but tight framework, regulatory framework. Right. Light but tight. So there'll be an audit, there'll be everything, right? There'll be assessments and evaluations, but whatever you have taught, so there is a lot of onus on teachers, because that every single teacher has to undergo 50 hours of continuous professional development every single year. So it won't be like once I've acquired my B.Ed professional degree, I become teacher for life. I have to continuously keep upgrading my skills. I have to, and not only teachers, even the school heads, they also have to undergo 50 hours of continuous professional development, like, physical courses, MOOC courses, and the digital courses, any which way. And there'll be a continuous review which is going to happen. Right now, that's something very, very interesting. And we believe that by 25, there would be first review which will be done. By 2030, it will be like, yes, by the time we would have gained something. And it is to like actually, it envisions, the NAP envisions to transform India into a Bharat, sustainably into an equitable and vibrant knowledge society, which we are. With this board result coming in, I am very openly saying, and I'm going to also create a video with the right words. There are teachers across the country who have actually failed the child because the child did not go to take a tuition from them. There are cases which have happened, and that is very unfortunate. That's very unfortunate, right? So I understand that 99% teachers, hats off to them, but that 1% probably, they also form that part of the teachers. Even I am a teacher. How can we, for any reason, harm the child? When everybody was getting free marks, I would say free marks. They haven't earned these marks. This board was cancelled. They were just free marks. But when everybody was getting free marks, 5 years from now, won't the world say, how many people are going to remember? Won't the world say, hey, come on, don't tell me that you were intelligent. Had you been intelligent, why would anybody would fail you? Right? Everybody was getting free marks. Only you were the one who didn't get. Right? So this is actually, personal vengeance. National Policy of Education also talks about something very interesting, that is taking the children with a lot of creative activities and critical thinking activities and problem solving activities from higher order thinking skills to, from lower order thinking skills to higher order thinking skills. And on the curricular side, right from the childhood, they say that I just said, I'm just repeating this one sentence, that there's a focus on foundational literacy and numeracy. But they say that, and generally reading, writing, speaking, counting, arithmetic, let me label a few things. Mathematical thinking throughout the preparatory and middle school curriculum with that's a sort of a robust assessment system, so that every child learns. So it is not about subject specific, it is about thinking specific, it is activity oriented. So the NEP talks about, say, I'm repeating, it's reading, writing, speaking. It doesn't say English, Hindi, Tamil, Sanskrit. It doesn't say anywhere like that. It is only saying skill. Right from the childhood, reading, the skill of reading is important, skill of writing, speaking, counting, arithmetic, mathematical thinking. It's so much important, right? It's so much important. So once the child learns this, acquires this, whatever subjects are there, everything is in that same language. So once the child acquires how to read, write, and speak, the child is going to learn any subject. It is only in individual interest and how the teacher introduces the subject to a child. The teacher definitely makes a lot of difference. What are the requirements of 21st century? We talk about 21st century sitting in the 21st year of the 21st century, when one complete generation is in the colleges. We still talk about 21st century. It is in year 2021, we talk about 21st century requirements and skills. Hope we understand. We still have it around 79 years to go with this century. And hope we make some difference to the children, those who are develop some skill sets with these children, who understand that, it's not only school is not from preschool to higher education. I have seen some institutes that, we educate a child from pre-nursery to PhD. I said, what do you do after that? What does a child do after that? After gaining that PhD, is that child competent enough to earn independently, or the child is still looking for some job and the child is not getting a job? So, the degrees are important, but the degrees alone won't matter anymore. Like, apart from NEP, I would like to say, how many of us are reading newspapers now? Because by the time the newspaper would get printed and come to us, people are creating news on social media. So there are there are more content creators than the news journalists and writers taken it from somewhere. So higher educational institutes play a very important role, right from undergraduate to postgraduate. And the universities where the children are studying, both the government universities and the private universities, they are indirectly building the nation, because these children are going to get absorbed, and these children are going to earn something in whatever which way. Some by doing job and some by doing their own profession. So I personally believe there's so much to talk about NEP in higher education, but I am respecting the time. And that is why I think all of you would agree to my point of view that NEP, and who's going to implement? See, the team which has designed and made it is not going to sit in your and my house and get it implemented. So it is like, every educational institute, every teacher has to get sensitized, read this draft, read NCF. Trust me, it has been 18, 19, 20 months. I take so many webinars. Earlier, I was taking so many teacher workshops. In all webinars, I ask, how many of you read that 484-page draft before NEP? How many of you read that 61 or 66-page draft of NEP? And how many of you agree to read that NCF which is going to come? Teachers yet haven't read this 66-page draft of NEP. So, as educators, are we trying to find an easy way out? That it's not entertainment. It's not like somebody comes, does a stand-up comedy show and makes us laugh and go. It's a serious matter. We are dealing with lives. We are dealing with the future of the nation and the individual. So with this, I think if all of us are together, it's a game changer. So I'm open to questions now.
Great. As you rightly said, NEP, of course, is extremely important. And yes, I think a lot of people are waiting to see how well it's going to be implemented. If it is implemented the way they are talking now, or the way the draft is, it's going to be really good. So I'm sure, like many, I'm also looking forward to getting that implemented the way that the draft is.
Yeah. Saroj ma'am has already posted a question.
Oh yeah, there are a few questions there.
Yeah.
I think Pushpa ma'am and Saroj ma'am have posted there. You can probably take that, and let's keep it brief though. I have one question. Now, will NEP be implemented in 2022 June? I mean, the next academic year?
It will be implemented as far as the MLOs, minimum learning outcomes,
Okay.
art integrated education, sports integrated education. It is integrated right away.
All right.
It
All
is
right.
there. The
Okay.
schools have to start, so it's now there is no hard separation between curricular and co-curricular.
Oh,
Now the
okay.
schools have to create the lesson plans. There is a lot of teacher training which is happening through NCERT and CBSE. See, what happens is, I'll just make it a 2-sentence answer.
Yeah.
So it's like, it is not easy to implement something or bring a change by being in a comfort zone.
Absolutely.
We'll have to actually leave complacency and come out and become little discomfortable. People, those who become the pilots to bring something, they have to face the challenge. There's a doubt about it. See, I've got used to Zoom. Now somebody tells me, madam, you have to take Microsoft Teams from tomorrow. See, I don't know what is Microsoft Teams. Please, I want to take a session on Zoom. Come on, you've already learned Zoom, learn another thing. So that is what it is going to happen. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly moving out of the comfort zone to uncomfortable zone.
Mm.
And that's where the learning starts too. Yeah. And any changes that we can expect in the textbooks, which I heard from others that there's not going to be change in the textbooks, perhaps going to be some changes in the history. Probably more than what we have heard.
I would not know more than, I would know what everybody knows, because that is for the public to understand. This 21, 22, because it takes time for books to get compiled, and the government is taking now that. So by 22, 23, yes, there'll be change in the book. But as of now, there'll be, the books would be there, which are already there. And the changes could come gradually through position papers to sensitize the teachers and tell them that how it is happening. Because this year also, the struggle between opening and not opening of the schools would continue. So in a way, it's a win-win situation for the book publishers. And so sort of like, people are happy that the schools are not opening, so the system continues with whatever books they are.
But if the change happens from what grade onwards, is there a definite confirmation on that? At what grade? What about 3 years?
Yeah. The talk which is happening from the stalwarts and from those heads which are over there, sometimes we get to attend those webinars and talks. They haven't stated anything clearly, but they say that first, primarily the change to the books would start happening from class 6 onwards. So they would like to change the book set of books from class 6 to 12, and then parallelly the primary books.
And I think they are going to also introduce skill development from 6th grade onwards. That's what I heard.
Yeah, that's right. That's absolutely right.
Yeah. That makes sense. Okay. Anybody else has questions here?
So, Saroj ma'am had posted a question that what is my say about the marking system? Ma'am, actually, I had made a video about this marking system of 12th standard in boards. It's very unfortunate when when around 10% children were saying they wanted board exams, and around 90 to 85% children they said cancel board exams. For the simple reason, they don't want to appear for the board exam because they want easy way out.
Yeah.
And when the results have come out, the child who has secured 60% in class 10th, maybe 70, 75, 80% in class 11th, is dissatisfied with 95% in class 12. And a child, the marks have not been given. There are a lot of biasness which has happened. And a child who secured 70 to 80% in 10th, then similarly around 80, the child was moving with the same pace, around 80, 81% in 11th, has been given 73% in class 12. So now who's more dissatisfied? So this marking system, there was no option left, ma'am. With so many PILs, and what happens is the mob mentality. So if I take only CBSE, out of 12 lakh children of class 12th itself, and I talk only about CBSE, I'm not talking about all the boards taken together, then there'll be crores of children. What will the system do when 95% of them, 90% of them stand against? There would have been riots in the country had this decision not been taken, because this youth was like, oh, the COVID is going to come and bite us if you take our exams. You can see them like, oh my God, hovering around on their bikes. Then the COVID doesn't bite them. For the exams, the COVID is going to bite them.
Yeah, true.
I've seen parents, no, we will not send the child to the school primary, how will the child take care? And the same parent is found on a grocery shop with that child. So there's the unfortunate part. So I have made some videos, harsh videos, when I said that, it's not the right thing. I got a lot of dislikes on my videos, because when I'm on the YouTube, it's an open platform. Anybody can come and abuse and go. And I can't do anything. But I got a lot of abuses when I said, children, you should be choosing board exams. You're going to get, what is the point of having these marks when you don't have those skills? Oh my God, that video, I think, got thousands and thousands of views within no time. With the views was all this. So it was, the children didn't like it. That, who's this Sapna Agarwal who's talking about that we have to give board exams and we are all against it? Yes.
I wish to ask a question. Has any other country using NEP type of education system?
Ma'am, yes, NEP is not new to the world. So, NEP is not new to the world. Even it is not new for us. It's an amendment. It's an amendment even in India. So NEP was there, but unfortunately, people had started saying that even this NEP draft 2020 is very good in paper. It has yet not been implemented. So, that is why the Prime Minister probably stood up and he says that, all these things have happened and these things are expected to happen now. So there are countries like, even Finland, Singapore is a very good example. Japan is a very good example,
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Have a good
Bye-bye.
weekend.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you, Vardha.
Thank you,
Great
Chandrasekhar. We will.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
great.
so probably next week
fine.
sometime
We'll catch up soon then.
Yeah, great.